Terence Bud Crawford stops Shawn Porter, says Shakur Stevenson. We're going to talk about that in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Listen, I don't know how you found the video, but somehow, some way you made it. Please help others find the content with this simple and free gesture. Throw a like on the video. Also, use my affiliate links, Amazon. I got an Amazon store, so if you need some tech ideas, you can go to my Amazon if you're making a purchase, or you can use my affiliate link for Moment. These are great ways, and people always ask where I get my gear. Now you know. So Shakur Stevenson, he made an early fight prediction for upcoming fight. I guess it's not really early. The fight's coming up quicker. This year's been going by fast. Shakur Stevenson on his verified page, he says, Bud stops Shawn Porter late. Boom. So he is of the belief that his boy and buddy Bud Crawford is gonna stop Shawn Porter. Now, there's an actor, Omar, right? And Omar responded. He was in the movie 8 Mile. I actually met him. He's a cool dude. And this is what he said. He said, I haven't seen him being Crawford, under the kind of pressure that Shawn Porter applies. I'm interested to see how he responds, but hell of a fight against Jamel Herring champ. Damn. And Shakur did respond to him. He said he's on a different level. Pressure gonna bring the best out of him, and thanks, 100. So that was a little engagement. So Shakur let it be known that he believes that Bud Crawford will stop Porter. My thing is this. First of all, Shawn Porter hasn't been stopped before. So if Bud is the first person to do it, you got to give him a lot of credit, because Errol Spence has a lot of power. Keith Thurman has a lot of power. Kell Brook is a powerful guy with the great jab, and none of those guys stopped Shawn Porter. And Shawn Porter has proven to be very durable, and Shawn Porter has showed his class and that he belongs, and he could give anyone a tough fight. He's a very rugged guy. But I will say this, in my personal opinion, I'm more of the thinking of the actor Omar, in terms of like, hey, I got to see that, because I haven't really seen Terence Crawford under that type of pressure. And Shawn Porter, unless it looks like, you know what I'm saying, some fixed fight, Shawn Porter has always given guys problems and always been a warrior out on his shield and things like that. So I'm very curious as well, just like the actor was saying, Omar, to see how Bud even responds to this, because to me, see, Shakur, he's a fighter and he's a cerebral fighter. You see in this classic picture of his performance, best performance of his career against Jamel Herring. He pulled out all the stops and he showed up. So great fundamentals. So this is a huge testament to Crawford's skill set. Shakur knows Crawford very well. The two have even sparred before. And the first time, Shakur Stevenson said Terence Crawford whooped me, and we see how good Shakur is. But Terence Crawford, he's a bit older and he's very experienced, so maybe at that time. But then I think they've later sparred. I don't really know what happened in those sparrings. But nonetheless, Shakur knows Terence Crawford very well, and he's given him a lot of praise and props. But I don't know if Shakur has ever sparred with Shawn Porter. I don't recall hearing or seeing that. So, you know, it's hard to know unless you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, Shawn Porter, from what I've seen throughout his whole career, he comes to bring it, and he's just a rugged fight for anybody. So it'll be a huge testament. At the end of the day, may the best man win, be it Shawn Porter, be it Terence Crawford. But I agree with Omar. I got to see how Terence Crawford responds, because I can't really think of somebody at the point in when Crawford fought him, specifically at welterweight, because that's his last 8 fights or whatever, Terence Crawford. I don't know who matches up to a Shawn Porter, mostly in terms of where they're at in their particular career. Like, Kell Brook is a name, but he was so far removed from any level of prominence, and the same thing with Amir Khan. Shawn Porter, he doesn't look completely washed and things like Kell Brook. Kell Brook, I don't think he was the same from the Triple G fight. Hey, no, guys. Hey, Max. Yeah, big drama. Everybody. Nah. You know, I don't know if Kell Brook that was just a dumb fight. I told you that. And notice, there's literally a video. I did videos about this saying this was a bad idea for Kell Brook. And in true online fashion, I told you, I've been doing this online boxing stuff, digital mob, for years. And at the end of the day, that's why nothing is new to me. I don't get shocked in boxing. I know boxing, there's little waves that people go through. So the point I'm making is this. When Kell Brook, I just thought of it as I'm doing this video, it's a freestyle. So Kell Brook, when he opted to move up and was first known that he was fighting Triple G at 160, I said, bad idea. And I even made videos and made many mentions on my channel about how that fight didn't really make sense. Kell Brook was supposed to fight against Jesse Vargas, and then those negotiations kind of took a long time. And then Triple G was supposed to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Those are the fights that should have happened at the time. And Jesse Vargas was a champion at that given time, so it would have been a unification for Kell Brook. So that would have made the most sense. But for whatever reason, Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook agreed to this, and it was just horrible because he got his eye shattered, and we don't know if his career was the same since. And that was in 2016, as we see here. And then his very next fight, he had to go back down in weight. And so you went from 160 all the way back down to 147, and you weighed under 147 at the weigh-in, and you had to fight a monster like Errol Spence. That was just a bad career move. And then from those two fights, I really don't think Kell Brook was the same. Golovkin TKO'd him in 5. Errol Spence KO'd him and beat the fight out of him in 11 rounds in his own hometown. Both of them were in the UK, but one was at the O2 Arena with Triple G. The Bramall Lane, that was actually in Sheffield, where Kell Brook is from. So later on, to see Terence Crawford beat him, that was in 2020. You know what I mean? These fights with Golovkin were back-to-back 2016, 2017, as you guys see right there. And then Crawford got him when Top Rank finally made the deal, when he left Eddie Hearn, left his longtime trainer Dominic Ingle years later in 2020. And Kell Brook really didn't seem like the same. And that's no hate, that's just what I seen. We got to stop confusing as a society hate with truth. The truth is, look at these in-betweener fight. Mark DeLuca, who is that, bro? Michael Zarafa and Kell Brook look horrible in that fight. And Sergey Rabchenko, who was 29 and 2 losses already. And then before that was the Errol Spence and Triple G. So what I'm saying is, Kell Brook really didn't do ish since the Triple G. He fought Elite versus Triple G and the Errol Spence, and then he did not fight Elite again until he got to Terence Crawford. And that was several years later after being stopped in back-to-back fights in your own hometown for one of them, and in the UK, your homeland, in the other. So I think this is a great fight. I don't underestimate Shawn Porter, but I don't underestimate Terence Crawford either. I don't underestimate either one of them. I think they can bring the best out of each other, but I'm very curious to see how Crawford responds to the rugged pressure, because Shawn Porter, he doesn't care if you get headbutted on the way in, if you got a cut, because people forget this. In the Terence Crawford fight, see, I really study the boxing. I really respect this sport, and I really break down the intricacies. You know, you got to have a keen eye when it comes to this boxing thing. But in boxing, one thing that I noticed is that Kell Brook was doing all right in the first 2 rounds. And then Terence Crawford, it looked like he had some swelling under one of his eyes. Just go watch the fight again. But it so happens that Crawford is a in shape, hell of a competitor. So as soon as he turned up on Kell Brook, so realistically, I'm in my fight with Bud Crawford. You know, as soon as he turned up, it was lights out shortly after for Kell Brook. But that was, in my opinion, really a washed Kell Brook. Shawn Porter, he hasn't shown that type of wear and tear. Like you hear him speaking on the commentary, he doesn't sound all punch drunk and stuff. He has his own podcast and stuff like that. And I'm not poking fun at people who have the slurs and palates and stuff, but that's a reality. Some of these guys, they take the hits for several years and then they sound punchy. You know, Shawn Porter doesn't sound like that. You can understand and distinguish. It's intelligible conversation. He wouldn't have probably a commentary job if that wasn't the case. So I think Shawn Porter is the best name and the best positioning at that career positioning at the given time where Crawford gets him, out of all the welterweight fights that Terence Crawford has fought, all of them. Because Jose Benavidez, I mean, I could go down the list. Y'all know it if you watch boxing, but Jose Benavidez, he got shot in the leg. And then, I mean, I could pull this stuff up too. I could prove it. Jose Benavidez got shot in the leg, and there was a huge gap, and then he couldn't make 140 when he come back 2 years ago, or 2 years later. Watch, I'll show you. Watch. So Terence Crawford, 2018, they top ranked. This is what they did. Crawford, 2000, it was in October, and he had 2 fights, Frank Rojas and Matthew Strode, right? In 2018. Look before that, it's a huge jump when he fought Chia Santana in 2016. So he did not fight for 2 years. And then he came back, finally came back. Jose Benavidez finally came back 2 years later after being shot in the leg and being on a long, lengthy layoff. And then he fought Matthew Strode, Frank Rojas, and then he goes up all the way to Terence Crawford because they had that run in. So, and keep in mind, it took 12 rounds for Crawford. I was at that fight. It took 12 rounds for him to get Jose Benavidez even out of there. Jose Benavidez was boxing well. Crawford started to pull away in the fight, and the mobility of Jose Benavidez looked like it was impaired halfway through. Now, that's not Terence Crawford's fault. He's a fighter. He didn't create that predicament, and then he went on to win. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But I'm looking forward to it. I think Shawn Porter is the healthiest, wellest, most in prime opponent that he's going to be facing. So I can't wait. I want to see how it plays out. We'll see if Shakur Stevenson is right. I'm not making a prediction yet because I don't really know who I'm picking on this particular fight. I think it will be a good fight, though. Subscribe to the channel if you like content like this. I drop the latest and greatest. This is your one-stop shop for all your boxing needs. Digital Mob. Use my affiliate links. I'm out.